Well, now I know what song's gonna be stuck in my head for the rest of the night. The missus is gonna be so upset with me. Oh my Lord. That was very lovely. I'd like to tell you this little story about my brother, Arthur Cedarbaum. He was approached by some drug lords to cook crystal meth for them in a garage. As you all know, he's a brilliant chemist and he would be very good at this. I said, Arthur, you would earn so many millions of dollars. Why don't you do it? He said, but Mortimer, my shirts might get dirty. Arthur and his shirts. Next we've got another talented young man who is going to sing us some lovely romantic songs. Prepare your loins for Christian.
For this one, I'm going to invite Mortimer of Cedarbaum's favorite student onto the stage, Ching C. Let's hear it for Ching C. Alright, so we decided to perform this literally right before the show starts, so we need the taps, but don't worry, I'm thinking of all of you when I'm saying
Don't you worry there, my honey, we might not have any money, but we've got a lot to pay the bills.
Maybe I think you're cute and funny. Maybe I wanna do what bunnies do with you, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
Let's get rich and buy our parents' homes in the south of France. Let's get rich and give everybody nice sweaters and teach them how to dance. Let's get rich and get a house on a mountain, making everybody look like ants. Way up there, you and I, you and I.
well, you might be a bit confused,
And you might be a little bit bruised, but baby, how we spoon like no one else.
so I will help you read those books.
You will soothe my worried looks, and we will put the lonesome on the shelf. Oh, let's get rich and buy our parents' homes in the south of France. Let's get rich and give everybody nice sweaters and teach them how to dance. Let's get rich and build a house on a mountain, making everybody look like ants. Way up there, you and I, you and I.
Oh, let's get rich and buy our parents' homes in the south of France. Let's get rich and build everybody nice sweaters and teach them how to dance. Let's get rich
And build a house on a mountain, making everybody look like ants. From way up there, you and I, you and I.
Can we give him another round of applause, please? Ching over here reminds me so much of my daughter. Sorry, Ching C reminds me so much of my daughter. You know, my wife gets mad at me sometimes when I don't notice her hair. She changes it slightly. She says, "Mortimer, I put so much effort, why don't you notice?" She talks just like I do. I guess. And I have to be honest with you, I get a little upset. You know what I did notice about you? Not your hair, your beautiful inner self. That's what I noticed about you. I'm sorry that I noticed the wonderful way you comport yourself in the face of adversity and your compassion for others instead of your change from amber to slightly darker amber. What is amber? Is it red or is it brown? I don't know. Make up your mind, please. It's very frustrating. Did you notice, Mrs. Cedarbaum, did you notice when my Rogaine finally started working? Actually, she did notice. She's a sweetheart. I don't deserve her. Next up, we've got our other favorite student from the improv course here at Mount Sinai. First is Will. This is number 2 in the class, Katie Taylor. She'll be delivering some words. Are they jokes? I don't know. There'll be something. Enjoy them. I know I will. I hope you all do. And here she is, Katie Taylor.
Thank you, Mortimer. These are some observations that I've made that I wanted to share with you guys. It's my first time, so be gentle. I'm a medical student. It's hard for me to say that. I feel like I haven't perfected how to say that. If I'm proud, I'm like, I'm a medical student. I am a medical student. And the person's like, yeah, I'm a waitress. Thank you. My dreams are crushed and I'm here being a waitress trying to make ends meet. Thank you, medical student. So then sometimes I go really low key and I'm like, I'm just a student. Student loans. And they're like, oh, what kind of student are you? I'm like, I'm a medical student. And they're like, oh, so you worked really hard your entire life to do this. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, whatever. It's one of the many times, like when I'm eating spaghetti, that I wish I was a robot. Just like there's only one way to say it, just the robot way. Like, I'm a medical student. That's how people say that, and that's how people eat spaghetti. There's no way to criticize it, that's how it is. So I'm really careful about money because I'm a medical student and student loans. And so the other day, I snuck into McDonald's so that I could use the bathroom because I didn't want to pay for it. And then I went to CVS and bought Beyonce lipstick for $10 because it was a really sassy color and her signature, her effing John Hancock was on the case. So I was like, win-win. I saved $1.50 from a small Diet Coke. And then I spent $10.50 on Beyonce lipstick. That's the logic of a future doctor of America. I'm going to steal internet from my neighbors, but I'm going to buy a jet plane, so it'll all even out in the end. And I'll save on the trips home. Do you see how that logic works out? That's right. Sometimes I remember that thymine and adenosine have 2 hydrogen bonds because I have 2 tatas. But speaking of private parts, I was reading in grants because I was trying to be a good student because it's a lot of money to go here. I was reading in grants that the anatomical position of the penis is erect. Did you guys know that? And it's named accordingly: dorsal, ventral. It's like the penis is erect like 2% of the day. That's a statistic I made up. I'd be interested to hear your guesses on this. Personally, I feel like it's 0 to 2% of the day. A penis is erect, but then we're going to do the entire, I'm a live, active young person, but we're going to create all of anatomy about it being erect all the time. It's like, that makes sense. You know, the anatomical position of the breast is a triple D. It's in 2% of the population, but we're just going to assume everybody has gigantic tatas. It doesn't make any sense! And I was like, clearly man found this up. I was like, probably Grant. Reading in Grant's Dissector. Where was he shading in the shaft? Was he just at a porn site? That was the only place to find the penis? He's like, well, they're all erect. There's a fluffer just next to him, like, and he's like, oh, that ventral artery. Wow. The only place, well, they're all erect. I'll assume they're all erect. It's the anatomical position. It's the only position I see here. But I don't think it was Grant, because Grant is, in it for making the money now. I feel like it must have been further back in the day that it was decided that the penis is erect anatomically. I feel like it was Da Vinci, as he was drawing the first anatomical drawings, he must have been the one who decided, yeah, we'll make it erect all the time. But I was thinking maybe Da Vinci just had a raging boner all the time. He was like the man's man. He's creating these anatomical drawings, and he was like, well, this is how mine is. Like this. There we go. And then he asked all of his Renaissance painters to come over. Michelangelo comes over, Titian comes over, Picasso comes over. I'm an art major, actually. It's funny, I put that in there. But they all come over and they're like, hello, we're here for the drawings. And Da Vinci's like, my anatomical drawings. And Michelangelo's like, the penis, it is erect. And Da Vinci's like, yeah. the penis is erecta. And nobody in the room had the balls to be like, well, 98% of the time, mine's a little dingle-dangle, just Italian jokes, and I apologize to the Italian Americans. Those are general stereotypes of Italians. Anyways, I'm just gonna look at my hand briefly. I was very busy the last 3 days doing nothing, so I couldn't memorize this list of things. I wrote a tiny permanent marker on my hand, so if you excuse me for a quick moment. Oh yeah, okay, so another thing about medical school, since you guys are the crowd, is that everything's like really black and white. Like it's the greater omentum and the lesser omentum, and it's the greater trochanter and the lesser trochanter, and the major and the minor. And you know what? Maybe the great toe is my great toe is my pinky toe. Who's to say? That's you don't know my toes. I'm seeing like how black and white that is, and I don't really like that. But it's like maybe though, this is like a great way to apply my new medical education to my world, such as. You know, my dad's like, hey, we can't fly you home for Thanksgiving. And I'll be like, okay, lesser parent. I'm gonna go talk to the greater parent and see what they have to say about that. Maybe there's some credit cards that can be flashed. Yeah. My lesser boyfriend. Just kidding, I don't have two. I wish I did to compare them. Okay, so before this, I was in art school. I got my master's in fine art and oil painting. Obvious transitions to medical school. While I was in art school, I did some painting. The guy next to me was in his studio painting. This guy was like, there's a lot of crazy characters out there in art school, you gotta beware. And he painted this picture of his girlfriend, actually, and he was showing it to everyone, because that's what you do in art school. You paint it and you show it. And he was like, oh, this is what I painted, but you know, I didn't paint it, God painted it. That's a true story, everyone. I want you to just note that. That is a true thing that happened to me. I was like, no, actually, I didn't fart on it last night, God farted. I was thinking about like, if I tried to apply that logic to medical school, it's one of the reasons I'm here. I was like, can you imagine you have someone has like a knee surgery and the doctor comes out and it's like, I'm so sorry, your ACL was cut. God cut it. God cut it, so embrace new things. You know, I'm gonna sue. You're like, well, if you want to sue, the only way I can think of doing that is if you live a good life, you die, you go to heaven, and you see the man upstairs. So that's a really good reason for you to be good for the rest of your life, so you can go to heaven and sue him, okay? All right, we're done here. Thank you. Sorry, that was in reference to the doctor saying that to the patient. That was confusing. See, I haven't ironed these out. See, that's the thing. Okay, well, good to know. Next time I won't say that ever. Okay, so the other day I was going to go see a show downtown, and I was going to go see a show with my sisters. We bought the tickets together, and I was like, oh, Jessica, it's right near where you work. It's in Greenwich Village. See, I'm from California, so to me, it's not obvious that New Yorkers don't say W's. She laughed hysterically in my face. My roommates will attest, you could hear it ringing throughout the halls. And I was like, okay, lesser sibling, go ahead and laugh. I didn't know New Yorkers didn't say W's. I was like, well, I was going to invite you to this party, but I'm not, because you're a lesser sibling. But after the show, I'm going to go to an air house party in Williamsburg. And I might smoke some Eid, and you're not invited. And even if the party sucks, my friends will be there, so it's an in-in situation. And then I'm going to aim down a taxi, and I'm going to go to sleep in my otter bed, okay? So welcome to New York to me. Thank you very much. I actually don't have a water bed, so I didn't want any of you who were trying to sleep with me to think I did. I just want to clear that up right now. I have a normal dorm issue twin that's very uncomfortable, and I can feel the springs below, in case. But on the topic of Greenwich, I think that in general, the English language is really confusing, and especially in school, when we're trying to learn all these new words, none of which sound as they're spelled. work my way through the dissector. And so I feel like diaphragm, why would there be a G? That's a silent letter they've inserted in for trickery's sake. This is just hieroglyphs. You might as well do hieroglyphs. You can completely learn what it looks like in print, learn what it sounds like in sound. So my new goal is the next time we have a table conference, which is on Tuesday, I am going to just straight up phonetic the shit out of the entire table conference. Dr. Laidman will be like, all right, Katie, what's the major flexor of the hip? And I'll be like, the psoas. The psoas, Dr. Laidman. Okay, and what's the largest joint in the body? I'm like, it's the knee. Okay, the knee, like, it's the knee. Like, Katie, are you joking with me? I'll be like, am not joking with you. Dr. Laidman. Logical. Serious. Serious actually sounds like it's spelled, so it's easier to understand. So Dr. Cedarbaum, there's a lot of love going around Dr. Cedarbaum. Mortimer's here. Hello. I feel like I'm in New York when I'm in that class, you know, he loves the Yankees, he says adorable old-fashioned New Yorkie phrases like hubba hubba. Every time he says a hubba hubba, I'm like, my week's made, I'm in New York. The lights and the marquees, we can do anything here. But I like to imagine, I feel like he would be a fantastic grandfather. And I imagine it like this. He is a fantastic grandfather because he loves to ask why himself. So I can imagine him reading a book to his grandson. He'd be like, okay, I, Arthur Cedarbaum, I'm gonna read you this book. I didn't write it, but I'm gonna read it. Okay. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's gonna ask for milk. And then the little grandson will be like, why does the mouse like a cookie? Why does the mouse like a cookie? Because they're carbos. Carbos will go into your cell from the cyto to the mito. Break it down. The little grandson. But Grandpa Cedarbaum, why does the little mouse like milk? Why does the little mouse like milk? Because there's lots of protein, such as alanine. You can break it down with gluconeogenesis. You can also create glucose, which we know we need. But Grandpa, this book is boring. Okay, well, if that was it, we could just go get a cup of coffee, grandson, but we can't. Right? There's more to it, so we can't go just have a coffee break like we want. We have to come back and do some replenishing reactions. This is boring again. Okay, new book, Hungry Caterpillar. Why is a caterpillar hungry? Because it needs glucose! Thank you guys.
Instead of another round of applause, can we please have another round of laughs? So, ha ha ha, everyone, ha ha ha, everyone, ha ha ha. Thank you. Earlier, Kevin, who helped me with his beatboxing, allowed me to showcase my freestyle skills. I would like to thank him. He was excellent and really impressive. Sorry I didn't do that sooner, Kevin. You know Ching.
It's Ching.
Ching. You know Ching. Arthur really loves his polos, but he's very sensitive about them. Once I said I didn't like the color of one of his polos, and he was so angry with me. It was the angriest I've ever seen him. He said to me, Mortimer, I'd rather not talk about my polos. How was your day?
Sounds like it was kind of polite.
Polite? Have you ever heard him open his mouth without cracking a joke and talking about glycolysis? He was livid. That's all I have to say about that little anecdote. Next we've got Larry Geyman and Doobay performing Dolak and Pean Fusion. Are they here today? Are they with us?
First, I think we should give every one of the performers a big round of applause. We have some talented people here. We were going to call ourselves Karma, but Armin and Kevin got that, so we're nameless. Hope you enjoy. The Anomaly.
all time! And you got this confused worse than the Senate misunderstood Senator Palpatine in the most direst of times. And not only is LeBron James the greatest ever, but his son, who is now just a Padawan learner, will grow up to be the greatest Jedi not only of his time, but of all time! Jar Jar, you know I love you. Okie day, Mr. Stephen A. Smith. I just want to see that happen. Speaking of things that I really want to see happen, our next performer is Alex Peters, is that right? Is that right? Alex Peters? Alex Peters? Shiovitz, David Shiovitz, and Nisha George. I know, I'm introducing Riju as Nisha because it's funnier that way. Because Riju told me to. But bless her heart for being so helpful. Thank you so much. She's hiding behind the pet piano, but you should all go give her a hug later. Because she's embarrassed. It's my fault and I feel bad.
Do I have to wait until later? Can I go give her a hug now?
It's your show right now. Pass the mic.
No, seriously, go give her a hug. She gives good hugs. Alright, so unfortunately, Nisha is stuck in Long Island without power. So, Riju was nice enough to, last night when I called him freaking out about crap Nisha's not coming, he was nice enough to offer to fill in. So, thank you, Riju, for your very quick response. I want to tell you guys a quick story. We talked a little bit about Dave Berman because he's awesome. He's an amazing electric guitarist, as we all found out tonight. But what not all of you know is, well, probably all of you know, that he's also an anatomy TA, right? Have you guys had Dave Berman as your anatomy TA? Yes. All right, so I want to tell you a quick story about Dave Berman as my anatomy TA. This is such a fond memory that my group actually still refers to ripping open the anterior thigh as going Dave Berman on it. Just goes in and rips, and it works perfectly. So, if you guys haven't had Dave Berman come over to your table yet, do. It'll change your life. Alright. So we're going to play a song for you. We love Dispatch. Anyone else here like Dispatch? Alright, I like that. Okay, so this is Flying Horses.
guess.
And then I saw a girl with the most beautiful hair. She had it wrapped around her, clothes she did not wear. That's a different life, and she could hide. After leaving, gorgeous footsteps in the sand, so she didn't care. Yeah. Well, she was a girl I saw. Stories that were gone. Things I heard about the Lord as I came to. I went to, I took a look, got a real see a magic. I don't want to tell, she didn't say no word, she just looked at you. Eyes on me, yeah, yeah, yeah. Eyes on me, and then it's all away. Flying horses, dancers play out. Flying horses, it's all rusty now, so ring. Flying horses, dancers play out. So ring, flying horses, it's all rusty now. And it's all rusty. You see, 'cause that stone fell through my pocket. Straight from the cup, shed some love.